thinking, Haley, what is this? Well, if you guessed a new home project, then you guessed it right. But aren't you like almost 9 months pregnant? Yes, I am. But what can I say? This mama's feeling good. And there's some stuff that I still feel like I have the energy for. And apparently doing a project like my own kitchen backsplash is one of them. So let's get my energy up with a nice cup of coffee because man, we've got our work cut out for us today. What is up? It's Haley and welcome back to my channel. That is good. And honestly guys, I don't know how much I can keep this up. If you've been on this channel for a while, then you already know. One of my, I want to say ultimate highs in life is basically just saving money wherever I can. That's why on this channel you see we do so much thrifting, thrift flips, DIYs. And honestly, that love for saving truly grew once we moved into this home. I started to see that there were so many things that I can do with my own two hands that usually I would hire out for and pay so many people to do for me, that it truly just grew a love for home projects and DIYs and basically like creating stuff on my own, and especially taking you guys along and kind of doing it with me. So for today's video, that is very on theme. We are going to be tackling a project that I've been wanting to do for so long, and I kept debating back and forth. Do I hire someone to do this? Do I do this on my own? I've seen videos and tutorials of people doing it, and I'm like, you know what? It does not look that hard. Let's just try it. And what it is that I am talking about today is doing my own backsplash tile. I showed you guys in a previous vlog some new tiles that I actually chose out that I really want to go ahead and add to this kitchen. This kitchen has come a long way. We've done so many things to it on our own. Like my kitchen shelves, for example, they're literally $12 shelves from Home Depot that I cut down, sanded, and stained myself. We have our kitchen vent hood, which is literally a Facebook Marketplace find. It used to be navy blue. We painted it beige. Right now, as you guys see, we have our main stone over here with our pot filler. And this is kind of perfect for the kitchen area because whenever I'm cooking, if it splatters, there's no grout lines. And I love the stone here so much. We did like a nice little custom edge over here, which I think is so beautiful. And the stone kind of trickles in and continues to the bottom. In the sink area, we kind of did the same thing. We have a little waterfall effect with the stone coming all the way down. But personally, I've never loved the fact that our countertops match up with the wall. I always felt like this area did kind of need a little bit of stone texture. And after browsing Pinterest, I actually came across these incredible tiles from Home Depot. I showed you in a previous video some different ways that I was thinking of possibly stacking them. I was like, okay, we could do like a stacked horizontal tile, we could do a stacked vertical tile, or we could also just do the classic brick. You guys gave me your opinions, and I think that what we are going to be doing today is doing a nice classic brick tile backsplash fully on our own. So my plan of what I actually want to do is I basically want to use all of these tiles and backsplash under the cabinets of the kitchen. So we're going to be starting over here, leading to the main area where we're actually going to tile all the way up right to the vent hood. We're going to continue that over back to the bottom of the cabinets, and I'm basically just going to create a nice straight line going throughout my kitchen all the way to this area right over here. Am I being optimistic that we can do this? Yes, I have all of the tools that we are going to need, and I'm honestly going to take you through step by step of my thought process, my cutting process, because I was actually able to find a lot of tools and equipment that are like real good hacks on how you could do this on your own without actually needing to get yourself a power saw. So we're not even going to be using a power saw for this. I just stopped by Home Depot earlier today and I picked up a couple of the other little necessities and tools we're going to be needing, and I'm just so excited to try this out and take you through this with me. I feel like it's going to enhance our kitchen so much because again, these are very neutral tiles. They're really just going to add a little bit of shine, a little bit of that like rustic character, I think, because these look like zellige tiles, which are genuinely so expensive. But okay, there's not much else to say. I got my coffee, my comfy stretchy jumpsuit on too, and Haley the builder is officially ready to get into the tiling business. So let's do it. We got to start off with a clean slate. So all of my appliances I'm going to clear off of the countertop, and we're also going to have to remove all of our little cover plates. So the thing is with this tile is that a lot of it is actually slightly different colors. So there's some that are more taupey, some have more beige, and some are more white. So what I'm gonna do is just organize a couple of them for now and set them in different piles so that as I'm stacking, I could kind of make sure that we have a nice color variation as we're tiling. about ready to get started. I have all of my tiles here, and I think where we're gonna start is like this little corner, you know, because in case I mess up, it's gonna be easier to fix this area rather than the entire kitchen. So I have all of my tiles over here, but as you guys know, I really wanna go ahead and do a brick pattern when I'm doing this. And as you can see in this photo, when it comes to the brick pattern, the edge of the wall actually starts off with a regular brick, and then on top of it, you have a half brick. Basically meaning that we have to cut a couple of these halfway in order for us to get that brick stacking pattern. So I went ahead and measured every single one of these bricks and basically marked off where the halfway point would be. This is where we're gonna go in and actually cut some of our tiles, and we're gonna be using this little handy dandy tool right here, which is basically a tile scoring machine. This was maybe $40 on Amazon, and the way that it works is that you position your tile right underneath at the measurement that you need. There's a little blade here at the bottom that you would just use to score the tile. Then you just pull up the lever, and as you push down, it basically snaps your tile in two. And look, they are a perfect size. Seriously, how easy is that? The only thing is it does leave your tile with a little bit of a rougher edge. So I got this little diamond file, which is basically a nail file, but for tiles. And I'm just gonna smooth out that edge just to give it a bit of a nicer finish. If you hate scratching noises, I'm sorry. And then our little half pieces are ready. So I'm just gonna cut a couple more of these so that they're all ready to go before we go in and start stacking the tile. So our tiles are cut, and I made sure to lay down some brown paper to protect our pretty countertops because this can get a little bit messy. I mean, kind of depending on which method you want to use for the tiling. There's basically two methods and two ways that you can go ahead and stick your tiles onto this wall. The first one is like your classic old school adhesive. This is the one that just comes like this. And with this, you basically just use a spatula to get it on the wall and then a trowel to go ahead and smooth it out before sticking your tiles to it. This is definitely what most professionals use and what people recommend the most. But something that I've been seeing so much on Instagram is this new concept called muscle bound, and it's basically a sticky adhesive paper that you can go and put on the back of your wall and peel when you're ready to go and stick your tiles. And apparently it is like so strong that you don't even need to use a regular adhesive. You could just use this, let it set, and then you can grout it. The only downside of this method is that in order for this to work, you need to have perfectly straight walls. Because of the fact that it is a flat sticker, you don't really have much give if your walls are uneven. So just imagine if your walls are not even, you can have one brick tile kind of slanted this way, and you can have one brick tile slightly slanted this way. It's not gonna look the nicest. The nice thing about using the traditional adhesive is that because you can play around with it, you can actually adjust the heights and like the exact positioning of every single tile, which I think will overall give it a nicer finished look. That being said, my walls, I'm already familiar, are so crooked. You see how here it kind of like dips in a little bit? Like our walls are not straight at all. And as much as using this whole like sticker method would make my life a lot easier and cleaner too, it's not gonna be so practical, I think, at giving me the finished result that I want. So I'm just gonna get over my fear of like using adhesive. I actually think it's gonna be a lot easier than I think. I watched so many tutorials on how to do it. I'm gonna apply some of this adhesive to the wall. We're gonna slowly work our way up and I guess see how it goes. Okay, so it's officially time for me to get over this whole fear of using adhesive. I don't know what it is. It just seems so intimidating, but it's truly not. This just felt like frosting a wall. So I'm taking my little spatula and just adding like a good amount to the wall, and then grabbing a trowel, which actually has some indents in it. I'm gonna be spreading it out evenly. The thing is with the trowel is that you actually want it to be leaving those like little grooves and indents as you smear it, because it's what's gonna help the tiles actually properly stick to the wall. Because of the fact that we're not getting into any of the curved cuts yet, I was totally okay with kind of lathering this on the entire wall before starting to build out my tiles. And in a section like this, you are starting your stack from your bottom corners. So I'm actually gonna go in with one full-size brick at the bottom, followed by a half brick right above it. And truly at that point, you only need cut tiles on the sides, because then the pattern just repeats itself as you go and stick them on in order. I would totally recommend start off doing the bottom layer first and then work your way up so that your tiles can remain balanced and even throughout your entire application. Okay, well here's the thing. We actually got quite a bit done and it looks pretty good. I have to admit the actual tiling process is not difficult at all, but I basically cleaned around all the adhesive that we had left because I don't have spacers and I completely forgot about those. These are just some of the spacers that came with the muscle bound, but I definitely don't have enough, and because we are using a wet adhesive, it is so important for us to have proper even grout lines to add these spacers kind of as we tile and as we go. So I actually sent my lovely husband to Home Depot if you can go ahead and get them for me. They come in a bunch of different widths. I actually went with like the smallest one possible, which is 1/16 spacers, because I want really minimal grout lines whenever I go in and fill in between these tiles. So he went to get that, and I thought in the meantime I will show you something that I don't really think will be relatable to most of you, because most people actually have straight lines within their kitchen. The reason this project felt so intimidating to me was because of this area right on over here. We have a lot of curved lines in this kitchen, specifically with the quartzite backsplash. So as you can tell, there are going to be some places where we're going to have to do curved cuts, and the idea of that was so overwhelming to me until I came across this little video on YouTube where somebody used a tool called a Dremel, which is basically like a little filing tool to cut curves in their backsplash. This is it right over here, and guys, just imagine when you go get your nails done, it's basically like a heavy duty nail file. I bought this tile cutting bit, which is this little piece right over here, and basically what we're gonna have to do is transfer the curve pattern on the tile, and then using the Dremel just draw out and carve that curve. And I have a few little ideas on how we could do so. The first thing we're going to need is a template of basically the kind of cut that we're gonna need to do in the curve. And here's what I came up with in order for us to do that. We are actually going to be using some parchment paper. These are just pre-cut cookie sheets. What I love about parchment paper is that it's actually see-through. So my train of thought is that we can go and position this over the tile and kind of trace out the pattern that we need, and then take it on over and trace it onto the actual tile before we do the cutting. Does that make sense? So these pre-cut cookie sheets are actually the exact width of our tile, which is amazing, but I want to create a bunch of little templates. So I'm going to be using a ruler cutter, but you can honestly just do this with scissors. I just feel like this will be a bit quicker. And let me just voice over as I'm doing this so you can kind of get what I'm doing. Okay, now we're gonna get into the nitty-gritty of how you're gonna do the curved cuts. Like I mentioned, a template here is critical because you're not gonna wanna ruin your tiles without knowing for sure what shape you're gonna need. So knowing the measurements of all of my tiles, I just made sure to cut out each of these brick templates. And then because of the fact that they're see-through, this is what's so amazing. You can hold it up right to the spot to where you need to make your cut. And then using a pen, you can outline the exact shape that you're going to need to fit in that area. Once I have my shape ready, I'm actually gonna cut it out so that I can position it right on top of my template. I lined it with some masking tape so that when I draw on the pattern, it will remain visible as I go to my cuts. And at this point, we are ready to get to cutting. Of course, safety first. I have my glasses and my mask too, taking my Dremel outside with the tile cutting bit. I'm gonna clamp it down to my surface. And this is something that's really important. You're gonna wanna make sure that your tiles remain wet the entire process of doing this, because the friction between the tool and the tile could definitely cause some sparks, as it tends to get really hot when they scrape together. So super simple. I'm just drawing out that line using the tool, making sure to give it a good spray in between so that the surface can remain wet. The best part about ceramic tiles is I don't even need to cut all the way through. Once you have enough of a ridge, you can actually just use some tile snippers to easily separate the two pieces. And there you go, you have the entire curved cut that you need. Okay, now we are ready to move on to these two pieces over here around the outlet. And we're actually just gonna be using the straight edge cutter for this, at least for this piece right here. So I'm basically just gonna grab a tile and position it next to where I need it to be. And then with a little marker, I'm gonna mark off the edge of where I need it to cut it. Then taking that same piece back to my tile cutter, I'm just gonna place it where I need it and do the cut. With individual places like this, you're gonna wanna just put the adhesive on yourself, basically like frosting a cake. And then with the bottom here, it's the same idea. We're gonna have a full length brick, but we are gonna have to cut it on a notch. I actually ended up having such a good experience with this little circle cutting bit that this is what I ended up using for all the rest of my curved cuts. So I'm gonna make sure to leave a link down below if you guys do want to recreate this for yourself, or you just need to make any kind of cuts, especially for an outlet. This is gonna be your favorite combination of a tool and blade. some reason my audio didn't record here, but basically what I wanted to show you is that a really important aspect of this is to finish off your tiles properly. You don't want it to have a raw edge, so I actually ended up finding this trim at Home Depot. It allows you to have a proper edge whenever you're putting up your backsplash tiles. So especially if you're not going up straight towards some shelves or underneath some cabinets, you're gonna want to use a trim just like this. Just apply some glue to it, position it right behind your tiles, and it will allow you to have the most beautiful finish without any of that raw edge showing. Update, it is officially the next morning, and guys, we made so much progress over the last 2 days. Yes, it took me 2 days of working constantly to do this, and this mama is so tired. Like, guys, I'm even wearing my sneakers inside because I'm telling you, oh my gosh, my feet, I've just been on my feet for so long. But like, taking a look at the kitchen, it's so worth it. This tile looks so beautiful, and that is like with all the grout line showing, which you know is not my favorite. So now that the adhesive is all dry, today we are officially getting to grouting. And this part, I heard, is actually very easy. Apparently it's the easiest part, I'm hoping, where we're basically just gonna be filling in all of those little lines in between all of the tiles. When I went to Home Depot and I saw these tiles, they use the Arctic white color grout. It is the brightest and lightest one that they have. And what I love about it so much is that when the tiles were finished, it just looked so seamless, and that's exactly what I want. So main materials for this next step, of course, you're gonna need a grout. So you're also gonna need some kind of like a rubber float. This is basically gonna help spread that entire formula on your bricks. And then after, once all those lines are filled in, you're gonna be just using a damp sponge to just wash away the bricks and wash off that excess grout. This premix grout is gonna be going between all of the tiles, like I mentioned, but you are not gonna wanna grout any of the horizontal seams that come into contact with things like the countertop or any kind of edging as well. For that, we are actually gonna be using some silicone sealant. And if you go to the tile section, you can actually find these in matching grout colors. So the color of this sealant is the exact color of the grout, except this has silicone in it, so it's meant to be like stretchy, because the areas that are going to be touching the countertops, there is a chance that over time they're going to be shifting. You don't want to have any cracks, so you need to put something flexible that will also be protected from water and anything like that. Let me get this open so I can see what it looks like. Okay. Looks nice, moist, and sandpapery. Easy to pick up too. Let's get to grouting. The grouting process was honestly so satisfying and really easy too. Because the consistency of this is basically like frosting, all you're gonna want to do is use your rubber float to basically push that product in between all of the seams. You can slowly see all the seams disappearing, and I just couldn't wait to see it once it was all done. The only thing about grouting is it definitely gets messy. In order for you to remove all of that haze, you're gonna want to use a wet sponge with a little bit of a rough surface to take off all of that extra grout. That way you could see your pretty tiles, but the grout stays in place when it comes to the seams. And I just made sure to do this multiple times until we got all of our tiles clean. Okay, you guys, it is officially Sunday. We were able to spend the entire weekend in our new kitchen, and let me just say, I am in love. Just take a look at how it looks with the new backsplash. I am so happy with how it turned out, and I can't believe that I did this with my own 2 hands. I have to say, I'm like so bummed. Today's such a rainy and gloomy day. Like, you guys need to see this in the daylight. When the sun peers into the house, it reflects off of these tiles in such a beautiful way because these tiles are so shiny. We swapped out a couple of our outlet covers for these beige ones, which I love so much, and I feel like it ties in with the Taj Mahal stone so much better now. The tiles peer right behind the fridge, which is amazing. The cuts around the stone, honestly, once you get the hang of it, it is actually so much easier to do. I ended up using that circle bit to do all of my cuts instead of the tile cutting bit. It just worked a lot better. And then continuing on, I feel like this corner right now, which is gonna be my future coffee corner, is gonna look so much better because before it was just a blank wall, and now that we have our new railing. This one is actually from Target. I can go hang some of my cups on here, properly put back my coffee tray, which by the way, you guys can tell the kitchen is like not decorated. I still need to put back all of my shelf accessories, even styling the shelf above the fridge. Like I have a lot of styling that I need to do, but I needed to show you the basis right now. But, and here is a big but. As you guys know, one of the debates that I had for the longest time is how high should we bring our backsplash? I knew that I wanted to have it run underneath all of our cabinets, and I'm really happy with that height. And I thought that it would be sufficient to just go high enough and finish off right at the vent hood. But I have to say, as you guys saw in a previous vlog, we actually capped off our cabinets. I don't know if you remember, but the top of these cabinets actually used to just be like a blank space, which I ended up adding some crown molding to give it a more finished touch. I'm so happy that I did that, but now, because of the fact that we have cabinets that are closed off, a part of me feels like this tile needs to extend all the way to the top, because having it be cut off right here, it like looks a little awkward, but I don't know if it does. This is where you guys come in. Your advice helps me so much in all of these vlogs, and I really need to know, taking a look at this, should we continue this backsplash all the way up to the ceiling only in this vent hood area? I feel like it needs to continue, but like a part of me is nervous that maybe it will be too much, but then I'm not scared that it's too much because this tile is like very neutral. Here are some like inspiration pictures of people who did it all the way up to the ceiling, and it looked so rich and so beautiful. So this is where I really want your advice, and then based on whatever it is you say, that's the decision that I'm gonna make. And then the last little thing that I think I want to do in the vlog to really complete this kitchen is finally tackle the side of the fridge. So many of you guys constantly tell me, Haley, build out your fridge, add the cabinets to it. I do agree that this black is just like not it. And in the past, I thought that maybe we could just paint the side, but then when my husband heard that I want to paint the fridge, he was like, heck no, you're not doing that. But I actually came up with an idea that I think could work. I'm thinking to possibly get contact paper that I can paint, paintable contact paper. I can line it on the side of the fridge wherever I see black, and then go ahead and paint it the cabinet color, because as you guys know, when we finished the tops, I actually got some paint color match to the cabinets, so I have this exact paint color. So to line this with some like fridge textured contact paper and then go ahead and paint it in this color, I feel like it will really help the fridge blend in so much more without needing to actually build out a box for it, which, let's be real, is a lot more work. Plus, I do love that the side is magnetic and I want it to stay magnetic. So comment down below and let me know your thoughts on that. Do you think painting contact paper for this fridge is a good idea, or is that like not even worth trying? If you have any other solutions for me, let me know down below, because this side of the fridge, we need to fix it. We need to tackle it somehow, because right now it's a little bit of an eyesore. But with that, you guys, how do you like this kitchen upgrade? Let me know your thoughts. Comment down below. Pat on the back for me. I think we definitely did good, even though now I'm like, okay, I may have to tile that up to the ceiling. Why am I always giving myself more work? Please tell me. But if you guys are watching up to this point, you know that you're the real MVP, especially if you watch this entire tutorial, and like, even if you're not planning on doing it, but you're here until the end, like, you're truly my favorite kind of people. You're our favorite kind of people. If you are watching up to this point, then comment down below one of my favorites, Haley the Builder, because this was truly the building project that I was most nervous about, that I'm actually so surprised at how it turned out. It was so much easier than expected. So comment it down below, and if it inspired you in any way to try this out for yourself, let me know down below as well. We still got a lot of home little touches I want to add before baby girl comes, because I want her to come into the most beautiful, aesthetic, clean home there is. We have so much nesting to still do, so much organizing as well as some finishing touches that I just don't want to let linger. With that being said, I love you all forever and always. Thank you so much for watching, and I can now